Good evening. I'm not going to look. Curtains are closed. I know it's horrible out there. Welcome to Dice and Bolts, the series where I take a look at the core dice mechanics of the various games on my shelf. Got a session got a video with a few differences. Number one, recording during the evening rather than during the day. Testing a slightly different camera setup with some lights and everything. And the second thing is the first time that I can recall that I'm doing a Dice and Bolts video over a game that I do not have the physical copy of. So today's game is Byte by R.G. de Barros. It is a game which I've backed on Kickstarter. It's mostly done. Abscanto Press, sorry. Backed it on Kickstarter. It's mostly done. The PDFs have been delivered. Just waiting for them to issue vouchers for print on demands from Drive-Through RPG. Byte is a generic game. It's kind of caught my eye because it's a generic that uses a pool of 8-sided dice. Not that many games use the D8s. They're intrinsic to your D20 systems, and there's 8-sided dice here in centre, but it's D8s only. I'm hoping that at some point they do custom dice, because the dice are to be read 0 to 7, or rather, but they say normal dice. Treat an 8 as a 0 or a critical success. 7s are kind of like critical fails, and you only need numbers 1. You actually only need 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, a blank, a crit success, and a crit fail. And the way it plays is quite good. I will say this here and now. Normally, character sheets draw me into the games. Byte has the busiest character sheet I've seen of any game for a long time. It's not amazing. There's ways to fix it. Anyway, dice and bolts of the game. You have 4 attributes. Okay, nice, simple, and straightforward. It's a points-based system. So putting characters together, it's a few steps and whatever, but you have 4 attributes: vigor, dexterity, wits, and presence. Nice and simple. Each one of which can have there are 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages for each one of those. So for example, under vigor, the 3 advantages that you could choose are mighty, resilient, or tough, and the 3 disadvantages are frail, sick, or weak, based on what your attribute is. So if you have a 1, then you need to pick one of the disadvantages. If you have a 3 or 4, then you pick attributes go from 1 to 5. If you have a 3 or 4, then you pick one of the advantages. If you have a 5, I think you get to pick 2 advantages. 25 odd skills rated from 1 to 5, and for every rank in a skill that you have, you get one of the talents listed with that skill. But the requirements for those talents are also based on what stats you have and what advantages and disadvantages you have. It's actually really quite an invested system. It's quite interesting. It makes you think about the way things work. The core dice and bolts. You take a number of dice equal to your attributes. So say, for example, the one we use, you're wailing on an orc again. So one would, and if one had a vigor of 4, you take 4 d8s. There are modifiers to your dice pool. You can never ever roll more than 5 dice. If you have more than 5 dice, you lose the excess ones. And with a skill test, say you'd have like melee weapons. 4, is it melee weapons? Yeah, melee weapons. If you then have a melee weapon skill of 4, which is pretty good, I think I've managed to get a 3 in character creation. So you've got vigor of 4, melee of 4. You want to roll 0s or 1 to 4. So basically any dice that comes up equal to or less than your skill, or a 0 or an 8 in normal dice, is a success. Okay, so there is 1 success. Oh no, sorry, 2 successes. Okay, nice and simple. 7s eat away at your successes. So that does that. 1 success, which is enough for a hit, because a normal test, you just need 1 or more successes to achieve what you're trying to do. In the case of combat, additional successes give you extra damage, which is quite useful. So with a good roll, a 0 or an 8, if we're using normal dice, counts as a success. If you get 2 zeros or more, it counts as a critical success. Again, nice and straightforward. There are some tests which are determined as hard tests, in which case only rolled zeros count. But the good thing is that 7s can't cancel zeros. Simple. Attribute tests are a little bit different. Attribute tests, you roll the number of dice equal to your attribute, and its successes, it's dice which are equal to or less than your attribute count as successes. And again, with the 7s cancelling out successes and zeros counting as criticals, and again with hard attribute tests, you need zeros. That's basically it. The rest of the game is just kind of fluff and setting. There are a lot of different settings presented in the game. I recommend you check it out. I don't know when it's going to hit standard production. It'll be there. They're quite active on Twitter. They've messaged me a couple of times. Yeah, so there's the dice and bolts of the Byte RPG. Pool of 8-sided dice equal to your attributes. Roll equal to or less than your skill or attribute that you're testing. Just need 1 success to succeed. Roll well, and we'll see you around.